All right, we're back at it again. Episode number 2 of the week, but it's episode 44 overall. Bullheaded Podcast. I am here with Zoo and P-Bush. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Getting our own little March Madness of the NBA. It's been some solid games and some massive blowouts too. So
yeah, we had some really awful games and some legendary ones and some legendary performances. Shout out to Jason Tatum.
Yeah, definitely Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum.
Oh my God.
Whew. He is a bucket, man. Tatum is the definition of an elite scorer. Like, he is what you would want as an ideal wing. But speaking of all the playing games, had a legendary one last night with Steph and LeBron going at it. You know, the other two were kind of duds with Boston thrashing their opponent and Indiana doing what they did to Charlotte. But we're gonna talk about the playing game so far and what we think, you know, so far what's been going on with, I guess, the aspect of, do they like it? You know, does it bring up more buzz in the league and things of that nature? So, P-Bush, I'm gonna start with you, man. What's your thoughts so far?
I mean, we talked about it on Monday. I love this addition to the league. I think it's, I think the one game elimination, it still feels a little weird to see it in the NBA. We haven't seen that short of series since like way back when it was, best of 5, right? That, when things used to be best of 5, there was less games going on. But, like we said, there were a couple games that I think we all expected to not be as exciting. I thought the Hornets are going to do a lot better, but man, LaMelo and Rozier, man, they combined for 11 of 34 from the field. I mean, it was just brutal. LaMelo's assist to turnover ratio was a solid 1. It was they were not moving the ball well, and you could tell, man, the Pacers just they were more hard nosed. And
they didn't even have Karis LeVert.
No.
He got COVID protocols. I was like,
man,
shit.
Sabonis was just a monster on the boards. He had 20 plus rebounds, man. Brogdon, played relatively well, and Brissett was the guy that really, I think, was the difference maker. Not that if he couldn't, I think he could have scored 0 points and they still would have won. But he was an add-on, for the Pacers, so that Sabonis didn't have to do everything. He was playing slightly limited minutes from what it seemed like. So besides that game, I thought the other ones were pretty damn good. Tatum did his thing. We even said that on Monday, that if they were going to beat the Wizards, Zoo, you and I were like, hey, we'll take 2 stars over 1. But if your 1 is combining for more than their 2, then that's the story right there. They won by 8, and I think he outscored Beal and Westbrook by 8 points in total. So there's your difference right there. And the games that stood out for me, I didn't think the Spurs were going to give them, a decent run. Who would have thought Rudy Gay, Mr. Old Rudy Gay? I thought he was out of the damn league there for a second, and he comes in and he gives them 20. Parring it up with DeMar DeRozan, but Valanciunas, dude, he 23 and 23.
23, man.
I told you, man, he can be a force to be reckoned with. Efficient, 10 to 16 from the field. Ja had a nice game, and Zoo, you better stop hating on those damn wing players on Memphis, because Dylan Brooks gave him 24. He was their leading scorer.
He did.
All right? And I wouldn't say he shut down DeRozan or shut down Rudy Gay, but, they did the job.
Was horrendous.
He was.
He shot like 5 from 20.
Yeah, he was. And Rudy Gay was the only reason they were even in the game. But, I think the Grizzlies, they're a gritted out team, and they showed us that. And then we come to the God Lakers, man. They're LeBron hitting that unbelievable step back 3 to take the lead with just under a minute left. Some controversy with the referees versus the Warriors. I know I was hearing that thrown around all throughout last night, but whatever, man. You can't do anything about it. Wiggins did step up. I mean, he did. He had 21 in an efficient game. Curry, probably, I think he shot just over 50%. Probably should have shot the ball a bit more. But, everyone else, with no Oubre, and, it was kind of a write-off there. And as Sean mentioned pre-production, man, the Lakers looked sluggish in that first half. So that was really the only reason the game ended up being as close as it was. But, hey, man, I thought it was a great 4 games. I like how they're setting this up so far. And, we still got 2 more to go. So, once again, claps to Adam Silver.
I love it. But one thing I noticed, the young team got exposed, man. That pace is good. I think the Pacers, I think they're a more talented team. But that game was embarrassing. Like after the first quarter, I got bored of the game. Like I got bored. I turned the game off in the second half because it was such a such a shit show at that. I was just like, "Ooh, this is getting real." 144 without
in
overtime.
regulation.
Yeah, in regulation, and then without a 20-point score. It's a bonus. Like, he didn't even have that great of a scoring game. Like, he was actually off. Like, you saw him getting frustrated. But the dude dominated, man. 20 rebounds.
Yeah.
20 rebounds, 9 assists, man. He's their best playmaker as a big. So shout out to the Indiana Pacers without a 20-point score and just exposing Charlotte, man. Like, I'll give Charlotte one break because they don't have Gordon Hayward, who's their best player still. Gordon Hayward, 20 points a game. He's actually having a pretty nice year this year. Like, I always hate on Gordon Hayward because the dude's getting paid $30 million for the last like half decade, which is, oh my Lord, that's just too much money for a nice. He's a nice player, but over $30 million over multiple years, I'm just like, that's too much money. But he's their best player, like, on Charlotte. Like, he's their best player and most valuable player. So without him, man, they're worse than the Chicago Bulls, man, without Gordon Hayward. Yeah. So like, Charlotte, they're not a playoff team. Indiana pretty much proved that. And let's see them tonight against the Wizards. But man, I got to shout out to Jason Tatum, man. And I got to hate on Russell Westbrook a lot more, man. Russell Westbrook. This is why I call the dude a dodo bird, man. Something about high leverage moments. The guy starts sucking. I don't get it. In the regular season, he runs around, gets his triple doubles. He didn't even get a triple double, man. Like, it's this thing to get triple doubles every game right now. Play in tournament on the line to make the playoffs. One game against a Celtics team that just without their second best player, and he got outplayed by Kemba Walker.
That was the most shocking part.
Yeah, and Kemba Walker actually had a good game.
29-7.
Yeah, I'm just like, where's this cardiac Kemba? UConn? Man, he's like putting on the UConn jersey right now, balling right now. And Russell Westbrook, the dude looked lost. He looked lost on the court, man. I was just like, he was complaining. Even the body language, like, something was off about Westbrook. Like, I just feel like when the moment gets higher, his IQ gets lower. Like, his basketball IQ is just stupid, man. Like, man, if I'm Bradley Beal, I'm just like, what a knucklehead, man. This dude,
he didn't have that great of a game either, though.
Bradley Beal has a hamstring injury. I'm giving him a pass on that. His movement was limited, and he was still better than Westbrook, man. Like, oh my God, it's just letting a young blood like Jason Tatum drop 50, man. 50. Like, he should have started double teaming this guy. Like, I had him in that tier below Steph Curry. Ooh, he got close. He dropped 50. Yeah, dude, 50 points in pretty much a playoff game. Yeah, and some of those shots were just stupid hard. Yeah, like, he has the ball, he's just like, jack up a three, like a mellow three with a hand in the face, splash, man. I'm just like, Jason Tatum, that's a franchise superstar right now. Yes, and man, if they had Brown and if Kemba Walker plays like this, they would have been a lot better this year. They would at least be a top 4 seed. If Kemba Walker maintained like this type of performance, like him as a third option on a roster. So man, it sucks that they don't have Jaylen Brown, but Jason Tatum showing us why, man. This guy got the max contract. So shout outs to Jason Tatum, man. Yeah. Shout outs to Jason Tatum. But man, before the Grizzlies game, man, San Antonio was so boring. Like, the only guy on that team
they don't shoot threes, man.
Yeah, the only team I like. Yeah, they're all mid-range, and they're not even that good. Like, DeMar DeRozan's only good at mid-range, but the only guy on that team I actually like is DeJounte Murray. Like, he's like a good athlete. Like, he's actually pretty fun to watch. But the rest of the roster, oh my Lord, thank God they are eliminated. So they will have no opportunities for future playoff games for me to watch as an 8th seed. So I'm pretty happy they're eliminated. So between like the Grizzlies and Warriors, obviously, like we regardless of who wins, we'll have a stud point guard in the playoffs, which I enjoy watching. But those Warriors, though, man, they almost pulled it off.
They did.
They should have pulled it off. Yeah. Like, the reason they lost is because they started turning the ball over. Yeah. Like Steph Curry, Draymond Green.
Horrible game.
My Lord, dude's a turnover machine, man. Like, he's actually a good passer because some of his dimes were pretty nice, leading the team in assists. But some of those turnovers, I'm just like trying to.
It's too cute.
he does, man. He's trying to like pass it all the cutters because obviously their offense is based on moving because they got a bunch of bums outside of Curry, so you got to get easy baskets.
He had a lot of critical fouls too.
Oh yeah,
a lot of the screens. Like he always. And the thing about Draymond, he always complains about like the fouls he did, but like when they do the replays, like dude, you like stuck your leg out. You can't do that during a screen. You can't do that.
Yeah. I still remember that big offensive foul call when you set that moving screen. I was like, it could have gone either way, but man, that was a major call. But man, oh man, LeBron James, what do I got to say about the king, man? The most valuable player of all time is LeBron James. I'm telling you, man, this dude is ridiculous, man. This dude should be in retirement, man. Like this guy in year 18 should be in the TNT booth in his post-career. But the dude dropping game winners, man, on Steph Curry. He pulled a Steph Curry on Curry, man. Curry was just shaking his head like, how the hell did he hit that?
And nobody knows what everyone feels like.
Yeah, it was a kick out. It was like a Robert Horry three, man. They're like, oh, Davis Caldwell-Pope just checking out LeBron. It's like, and it was a swish, man. It wasn't a bank. Clean. It wasn't a rattled in like Kawhi's three. It was a swish. Man, that was impressive. Like this dude, man, he had one of the worst games ever. Ever in the first half. And somehow he turned it around. Now he shot 6 for 10 the second half. Man, that's incredible what he pulled off, man. Props to him, man. Finally got LeBron James back in the playoffs, man. Hopefully he goes 0 dark 30 mil because I got him winning the title. But damn, the first couple playing games, man. There was some awful one. That Pacers game, that was awful. But
it was very extreme.
Good thing we got the balance of power. We get one awful one, and then you get the legendary Golden State versus Lakers one. So it all balanced out. So I'm happy as a consumer.
So I mean, the funny thing is that if they decide to keep this format going forward, we're not going to have like a Warriors Lakers again in a play-in
I don't
game.
think that's ever.
It's going to go back down to. It's going to go back down to we got Charlotte. You might have maybe the Pacers, right? The Bulls, possibly.
Oh yeah,
some of these teams, right?
We need these extra games to try to make the playoffs.
So I'm interested to see, if you were to put the Bulls up against the Hornets in that situation, and let's say the Pacers weren't there, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out if they decide to keep this, and how future years go. I think they will. If it works and there's positive reinforcement from both the players and the owners and the fans, obviously. But look, man, we got 2 more games. We got Memphis and we got Golden State. And
I don't know. I might be.
It's gonna be a close game, man. It's gonna be a close game because the Warriors, they're mentally. I think they're mentally drained from that game.
Oh, exactly what I said on Monday.
And Curry put on an epic performance, like another epic performance. Ooh, Steph Curry gets tired, man. He runs around on the court too much, man. He puts 100% of his guns in the game. So, man, against Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks for a couple of rounds, man. Ooh, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins.
And the other big thing, Zoo, is that they're going to get in massive foul trouble with Valanciunas down there.
Yeah,
who's going to stop him?
That dude's an animal, man.
They're going to have to start hacking him. And there goes Draymond. Your Mr. Passer, right? He's really the center of their offense when they run through him.
Yeah. Kevon Looney.
Ugh.
Oh my God, man!
It's gonna be a long night. That's what you're relying on. It's gonna be a long night.
Exactly, it's a very long night, or a very quick one. But look, man. I picked Memphis. I picked Memphis to upset the Warriors coming out of this game. So I'm sticking with it, man. I'm sticking with it. I didn't like how the Grizzlies. I loved their start. I loved their start.
They almost
blew it.
Yeah, they were up 20. I was like, damn, this first going to go out like this. But that comeback was like 5 minutes. That was actually a really impressive comeback.
It was like that. And I was like, oh, damn, here we go. But, I will say, I think that is a good experience for the Grizzlies to have to go through is closing a game. I don't care who you're playing against. It's still an elimination game. The loser of that game would have been out, right, if the Grizzlies had lost. And they closed it. I don't care who you're playing against. You're playing against one of the best coaches of all time in Popovich. He clearly motivated his guys in that second, in the halftime locker room. We're not getting embarrassed like this, boys. And they come out, get right back in the game, but the Grizzlies were able to fight back and maintain that lead. So I thought that was a good sign for them just as a team overall, chemistry-wise and all that. But I think it gives them positive momentum, whereas the Warriors kind of have a little bit of negative momentum You know, they had a legitimate chance to knock off the Lakers and force the Lakers into a one and done finally, right?
Ooh, the league would have been sweating, man.
Yeah,
they would have been
more than sweating.
Would have been sweating about $500 million there.
Instead of LA, the amount of money from TV ratings, man.
Oh yeah, down the drain, man. Down the drain. You know, all those Lakers fans would be moving over to the Clippers side if the Lakers had been knocked out. So, but look, these games are going to be solid. I mean, then what we got the Wizards and the Pacers. I think that could be a good one too. I think
the Wizards Pacers.
Once again, you got a hard
Russell
team.
Westbrook needs to redeem himself
right
after that epic performance.
Like, and you know
that
Hachimura needs to step up too. He needs to have a nice little third option game there, I think, personally, because once again, he didn't really do that much in the game. You know, obviously it was all on Westbrook just jacking up horrible shots almost the entire game, turning the ball over and all that. But if they want to make a difference, I mean, I'd say the Pacers are deeper. They have more options to choose from, barring any injuries or any aggravations of their injuries that are already there. So I think both of these games could end up coming close, and it's kind of the high-powered offenses versus the hard-nosed defensive teams, and you know, the hard-nosed Grizzlies and Pacers, and then you got like the guys that like to run and gun in the Wizards and Warriors. So I'm interested to see, but I got the Wizards and I got the Grizzlies in those two. So
who would you? So let's just hypothetically. I know you guys picked the teams of who you think is going to advance, but which team, just out of all, I guess these four that are left, that is vying for the 8th seed, do you think has the best chance of making a first round competitive? We won't say upset because I don't think any of these teams could upset, but like which team? And we could even go to like if we once we go through all these play-ins and the whole field is set, which team can you see in the first round making some noise? Like being like, okay, this team might be able to give them some games, like take some games off. Because I got one team in mind, but I want to see what you guys think.
Making noise? Only guy that's going to make noise is Steph Curry because everyone else is irrelevant, man. You look at the rest of the roster, Indiana Pacers, they might get swept, man. They might get swept if Indiana makes it as the 8th seed. And Washington Wizards, they might get swept too, man.
They can steal a game.
Dude, Russell Westbrook, this guy's an idiot, man. He's an idiot, man. He just, God, because like I was just giving him props at the end of the season because he actually finished really strong. His his turnovers went down, which something he struggled with. And the first game of playing tournament, it looks like a bum again. I'm just like, what the hell happened? I thought he turned a new leaf or got a little smarter, but nope. Playoff time, guy gets revealed for what he is. So I like, come on, man. Regression to the mean, baby. He had hit eyes, and now he's back to close, and there's his average, man. Large numbers. It's bound to happen for Russell Westbrook. So yeah, the Wizards not making any noise. But low-key, the Warriors defense, very impressive. They look good. Dude, Draymond Green might suck on offense, but his defense is incredible.
I'll give you Draymond in the post.
Incredible, man. His ability to switch, his ability to rim protect as a 6'6" dude. Like
until he has to play Valanciunas, man.
I don't know, dude. Draymond, I give you that because something about Draymond plays good against AD because AD doesn't like physical guys.
He don't like the post.
AD just looking like a little punk, man. Just like you can't post up Draymond Green. He's got like 5 inches on him. He can't post him up.
That's
but
sad.
Valanciunas is a big fella. Like 20 rebounds. Like, this guy's a grizzly bear out there,
and
man.
20 points.
Yeah, I know, man. Like this guy's a rough rider. So like him against Draymond Green, just like that's a physical matchup that like he might dominate a little more than AD. So like he likes the physicality. So, but the Warriors, because outside of that, the defense was bad impressive. Wiggins' defense. Wiggins was good against LeBron.
I was pleasantly surprised.
I think he was motivated by the fact that LeBron.
Those are the two that stood out for me.
I think that's
Wiggins' defense. He's like a nice two-way player now. Like his three-pointer shot got better. He's a nice defender. Even like his defense, obviously he's always been an elite athlete. So I don't know if the Warriors could play defense like that and have Steph Curry be a one-man show. He can make it interesting, just running pick and roll against Rudy Gobert all day, and hopefully take advantage of that.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Rudy ain't leaving the paint.
I think the one series that I think can get weird is the Clippers-Dallas series. Because if you look at it last year, what's his name? Kristaps he wasn't really that big of a factor in the series last year.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like Luka has the confidence because he made that shot. He knows he can get his bucket at any time. Dallas, how they're constructed, like they're like off guards. Like Jalen Brunson's really good. Like people don't know much about him, but I had him in fantasy a couple years ago.
Adam
Like,
Stevenson, high school from Illinois, man. He killed Laser.
He went to Villanova, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched him drop 45 in high school in person, man. He destroyed us. He's ridiculous.
A monster. I like him. And plus, so like, you know, and they have their obviously their big guys that I think can do some damage too. But, you know, the Clippers, they haven't been really good in, I guess, high pressure situations. So I think if any of those games get kind of close, it could get weird. And I think Luka just has the type of ascension to his game where he's going to be taking steps in the natural progress of what a superstar takes. So I think that series can get weird. I'm not going to really count the Lakers and, you know, Phoenix, because I mean, I know the seeding says that, but nobody looks at it as like, oh, the Lakers
the betting
are this
is
underdog.
way...
Yeah.
They're the only favored seventh seed ever, I think.
Yeah, it's so hilarious. Out of whack. Yeah, so out of whack. So I think that's the one series I would look to. I would be really interested in the Boston Nets series if Jaylen Brown was healthy, because if Tatum is bringing, let's just say he's not going to get 50 every game, but if he's getting 30, 35, and then Jalen's doing what he's doing, like it could make it kind of somewhat interesting, especially if Kemba brings something to the table. But that's kind of out of whack, so I think they're going to get swept too. But I think that's the only series, the Clippers and Dallas series, that I think could be a series that maybe could get interesting, especially if Dallas can get game one. I feel like any team that gets that game one, then it's going to be a lot of, you know, self-doubt. Because I'm a believer in Kawhi, and that's about it with the Clippers. That's it. I don't believe in George. I don't believe in any of their other guys. I know Rondo's with them, but I don't know. Kawhi's the only guy I could trust to give me a bucket.
For that Clippers Mavs series, because last year that series was my favorite series until Kristaps obviously got injured, because it was side 2-2 after that Luka shot, man.
Yep.
And that series looking real nice, and we got buzzkilled because no Kristaps Porzingis. But man, I feel the Clippers this year, low key team that might win it all this year, man.
I agree.
Yeah, this Clippers team is scary because everyone's sleeping on them because of what happened last year. But when people sleep on teams, because talent-wise, pretty much the same talent. Like you added Rondo, you got a Montrezl for Serge Ibaka. I think Serge Ibaka is a better basketball player because he can shoot the ball, he can shoot the three, and he's a rim protector. So he's a two-way player, unlike Montrezl Harrell, who didn't even play against the Warriors because the guy was such a was going to be such a liability.
Poor man's Blake Griffin. He's a poor man's Blake Griffin.
Like legit, because he's only a guy in the post.
Early
man. Like he's a paint guy. So, and his defense is just not that good. So, man, that Clippers Dallas series, man. But I got Clippers in 6, man. Clippers in 6 over the Dallas Mavericks, just like last year. Even though, man, Luka, man, like something about Luka against Kawhi and PG, man. He looks like the best player. He looked like the best player last year. And
Luka does that to everybody, though. I feel like.
No, dude, what he did last year was legendary.
Yeah,
that was building the Luka legend, like his playoff resume, starting off like that against 2 elite all-stars. I'm just like, God damn, like they need to get him a crime partner that does not get injured. They need Kristaps can be the guy, but the dude's always injured, and he's 7'3", so he's gonna get injured again.
Vooch.
You know who would be really good with Luka? And I don't know when his contract up is Beal. He would be really good with Luka. Another 2 guard.
I was talking about that a couple months ago, man. Luka Doncic with Bradley Beal, having a primary scorer along with Luka. Luka as the playmaker and Bradley Beal as the bucket getter. Yeah, like legit. Like they have some free agency money, or they make some trades, man. Like they need to maximize this dude's prime, man, because he still has his rookie contract. So you don't want him thinking. Yeah, you don't want him thinking. You don't want him thinking about leaving if you're not supporting him with talent. But man,
and he's in a good franchise like Dallas. Like it's not like a small market team. It's a good center of the country. Yeah. It's a good program to be with. Like that's not it's not like he'd be chasing another. I mean, unless he has his sights set on I don't know,
Chicago.
Yeah. I don't know about Chicago, but
I think maybe the Knicks. He could be eyeing.
Yeah, the Knicks. Like maybe one of the big cities like New York, LA. That'd be the only 2 teams. Like if I went in Dallas, I would, or Miami, because Miami I think has got a lot of money open. But I think they're kind of trying to
Don't
They
sleep
might have
on
to target
Miami.
They might be trying to target somebody else.
That's my
I'm not
upset,
sure.
man.
That's your
the one I
upset.
got. Not necessarily an upset, but I think that's the series I'm looking for.
Miami
forward
over
to
the
most.
Bucks again. So we have
That would be
history
devastating.
repeating itself. Oh, this is by far one of the most intriguing matches because it's also a rematch. Like it's also a rematch from
It's
last
also
year.
a rematch, and I love the Drew. We've talked about Drew Holiday all the time, but I love that addition. He's clearly made the Bucks better, more legitimate. I think of a threat in the playoffs. But man, they just got unlucky that the Heat could not pass either the Hawks or the Knicks.
It
Because
would have
if
been
the
so
Bucks-
much easier.
It would have been so much. I don't give a damn how hot the Knicks are or how hot the Hawks are. They have no playoff experience. Whereas the Heat are coming off one of the greatest finals runs in recent history, in my opinion, and almost pulled off one of the biggest upsets in the finals. I mean, they went 6 games, where I don't think a lot of people did, except for myself, maybe. But look, man, I think that Jimmy Butler, he's a different animal in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that entire team. Spoelstra does not get enough credit, I think, this year for bringing his team back from the grave. I mean, they were dealing with injuries and COVID, and they just kind of slowly crept up from like bottom 4 in the East to start the year and just kind of slowly worked their way up. And there were some hot teams that were going along with them, like the Knicks and the Hawks. And, I think that if I were them, I'm pretty happy going up against Giannis because you want to talk about a guy
They know how to guard him.
They know how to go. One, they know how to guard him. And 2, not as bad as Russell Westbrook, but I wouldn't say that Giannis is the greatest playoff performer compared to regular season.
Dude, something about
Because he's
his
so
jump
predictable.
shot. Yeah,
He's so
something
predictable.
about his jump shot it gets worse, I feel like. Something about his free throw performance.
Yes.
Like he loses confidence when he starts bricking free throws, and that mentally
when he
affects
knows
his
it's a
other
big
game.
game.
Oh,
And when he
yeah,
knows
man.
it's a
All
big
the
game.
pressure on this dude, though he wants vengeance because this is an opportunity for redemption. Against a lower seed again. He got himself Drew Holiday, who's a massive upgrade over Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah,
so I'm like, Chris Middleton, obviously, he actually had a solid 20 points again.
20
like,
again?
Sure, as a third option. Like Chris Middleton, third option was with Drew Holiday joining the roster.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks in 7.
I got to go. I have Heat in 7. I got Heat in 7.
Dude, it's going to be nice because this is a chance for a redemption. They would be playing for an extra inch of fire because, they got embarrassed last year. I felt sad for that roster. MVP, they were about to get swept. And the only reason they won a game, because freaking that was the one game Giannis got injured. They won that game. So I'm just like,
I think Giannis is not. He's just a really intriguing player because he's just not a skill guy.
No,
he's a power dunk guy. He's a power dunk guy. So it's gonna playoff wise, it's gonna kind of make him limited because he doesn't have that mid range jumper. He doesn't have the jumper out near the 3-point line where it's gonna make you respect it. Even if he was just hitting 2 out of 6 a game, if he was hitting those 2, that would expand his game even more. But his game is limited to that. So but I do feel like PJ Tucker is going to be a difference maker just because he's going to be an extra guy. 3-and-D guy. He's going to be a guy you can throw at Jimmy Butler.
Can't fit him in the corner.
He's their Shane Battier. He's the Shane Battier.
He's going to give them a way different dimension. Dimension that's, I think, going to help them go 6 or 7 games and ultimately win it. Because I just don't see I'm not calling Miami last year a fluke. I just don't see Tyler and Duncan. I haven't watched Miami much this year, but Tyler Hero is not doing what he was doing in the bubble last year. Duncan, I guess, has been a little consistent. So you do have that option. But I just don't – I think Tyler Hero was a big part of why they got to the finals last year along with Jimmy Butler and Bam. I just don't see Tyler's production. Now, he could turn up in the playoffs and it could be a different monster. But, I just don't see what he's been doing this year getting to the next level. He might be just in a sophomore slump. So to use that terminology. So I don't know. I just, for that reason and the Drew Holiday, PJ Tucker, I'm picking the Bucks. But East is going to be crazy, bro, because after the first round, I don't know who to pick. I really don't.
It's tough.
Because I could see all 3. I could really see all 3 making it out. I mean, I know popular's opinion is Brooklyn, but I could see a scenario where Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn makes it out.
Yeah. I mean, any one of the 3. But, I mean, I'd say that the the top seeds in the East are well suited to make it to the finals than the top 3 seeds in the West. I mean, you're looking at the West.
Philly,
you got
Brooklyn,
Philly, and then the West. You got the Jazz, the Suns, who are just one of the most unfortunate 2 seeds of all time.
So
and
sad.
And right now, you were asking about this earlier, Sean, but I genuinely think that Memphis could give the Jazz the hardest time.
Man, stop it.
No. Listen to me.
No, man.
Who is going to bang with Rudy Gobert? Valanciunas could bang with Rudy Gobert down low and force him to be taken out of the game. I mean, Rudy Gobert is such a force. Yes, he is on defensive end. If you have Valanciunas there to clear him out,
dude, if your center is your best scorer, the Utah Jazz got the future defensive player of the year again this year to guard him.
But Zoo, yes, that's fine. And Donovan Mitchell's a monster, and he could pop off for 40 at any time. But I'd take consistency. I mean, I'm not saying the Grizzlies will win the series. I think they could force 5 or 6. That's at best case.
5 games if lucky.
Best case scenario, 6 games. Best case scenario. I think they would force 5. I would, if they made it. I think I would bet that they would at least force 5. They could get swept. But if you're looking like compared to the Warriors, man, like the Warriors would get destroyed and swept by the Jazz. I genuinely think so. Yes.
Swept?
100%.
Steph Curry ain't getting swept by that team. He's the best player in the series.
It's a bad matchup. It's
just a horrid matchup for them. They don't have any good.
Like if I feel like if Curry
zero defensive.
I think if Curry was playing against the Suns, I think that could get interesting.
Yes,
because I don't
100%.
think Ayton is gonna I think Draymond could neutralize Ayton, and then at that point it's Steph versus D-Book and Chris, and I take my chances with that. Plus, too, with Utah, I think the X factor is Bogdanovich. Like, if he turns up, it's going to be a quick series. But if he doesn't turn up, then Ja neutralizing, what's his name, Mitchell. And then I guess Conley, he's a little bit over the hill, but maybe he can get something. But, the Grizzlies, they have guys and they have wings that can mess with the guys in Utah. And Gobert's not an offensive guy. So to me, I just don't ever see playoff-wise. I don't know. I just don't see him as this huge factor.
That would be Gobert's arguably most physical matchup he would have to play against. Playing against Jonas.
Definitely.
And that alone would make me nervous if I was the Jazz, or at least it would make me prepare way more for. If I was the Jazz, I'd be preparing for the Grizzlies more so than I would be the Warriors, because what the Warriors are going to give you, and that's just. We're going to run around and try and get Curry the ball. If we can't, then we're just going to be jacking up, everyone else is going to be jacking up threes, right? Well, how do you prepare for the Grizzlies, man? I mean, they got wings that any one of them could step up in any random game. We saw Dylan Brooks do it, right? Ja Morant can come at you at pretty much any angle that he wants. And then you got Valanciunas going for 20 and 20. So, it's harder to plan for that type of team versus a one-man show who is literally riding on his back and plus a little bit of Wiggins. So I just think if you're looking at a good matchup for the Jazz, I think the Grizzlies could give them a harder time. But yeah, I mean, they could both force 5 games on the Jazz. But I think that the closer games, game in and game out, would be the Grizzlies.
Really? Man. I don't know. Utah Jazz, one of those teams as a number 1 seed. No fear, man. If I'm an opponent going against Utah as a number 1 seed, I would go in confident because their entire offense is revolved on one player too, just like the Warriors is Donovan Mitchell, right? And pretty much he's the creator for all the snipers that they have, and even the bench snipers they got a nice dynamic duo off the bench. Ingles and Jordan Clarkson, like both bucket getters off the bench. So I'm not really showing respect to Utah Jazz because roster not that talented, man. Not that talented.
Yeah, and some teams are just regular season teams. I just feel like that's just what some teams are. It's just playoff wise, I just don't see in terms of how the game slows down and having multiple guys who can get you a bucket, get you in a set. I just feel like with Utah, they have one guy, maybe Conley. I haven't seen Conley, I guess, as of late. Now, he did a little bit with Memphis, I guess, when they were like 8 seeds and playing Golden State. But seeing them in a scenario where they're getting a lot of guys in sets and things like that to get, manufacture points for their teammates. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. Before we go, I want to get guys quick thoughts on, I guess, give me the games of the, Atlanta, New York series. Because I feel like that can go either way.
ATL versus going 7. Yeah. I think it's going to go 7 because talent-wise, it's pretty close. Like one team's more young. Actually, both teams are both relatively young talent, and they all added veterans too. So the way their team is built is very similar, but one is obviously the Trae Young show and a bunch of three-point shooters around Trae Young with Clint Capella being a beast right now. Yeah, having a career year. Shout out to Clint Capella. The Knicks is just a Julius Randle offensive show. And offensively, they're just – New York Knicks are not a good offensive team, but defensively, they're a top 2 defensive team. So they're going to be grinding. But, man, oh, man, Derrick Rose back in the playoffs, baby. D Rose is back, and D Rose always
playing well
in the playoffs, man. He might average 20 points a game against Trae Young, man.
He might torch him.
Dude, he's going to torch him because I know D Rose so well, man. Every time he sees those little scrawny point guards, man, he just outpowers them, man. He owns CP3. He owns Steve Nash. He owns Steph Curry. Like all these young, scrawny point guards, man. When D Rose is balling, man, his eyes lit up, man. Because that's barbecue chicken for D Rose. And Trae Young is going to get a rude awakening by a 30-year-old former MVP, man. So I'll go with the Knicks, man. I go with the Knicks, man.
The Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7. Yep. I'm picking my boy Tom Thibodeau, man. First round, let's go. It's their year, man. They had an incredible year, man. Top 4 seeds, home court advantage against an Atlanta Hawks team. I'm surprised. I'm telling you, I'm surprised they made it to the 5th seed, man.
I am too.
Like Nate McMillan.
Over the Heat.
Yeah. Nate McMillan, what a hell of a coaching job, man. His former coach gets fired. He takes over. They're a beast. They start winning immediately. So I'm just like, Jesus Christ, they adapted quickly. But I got to give it to the Knicks, man. Like, oh, man, it's going to be tough, though. Because offensively, they're going to struggle at times. And the Atlanta Hawks is just a nice three-point shooting team. So, but if the Hawks are cold from 3, man, they're abysmal.
I feel like that's the whole league. I feel like if unless you have a guy like LeBron or like a bona fide superstar who can get you buckets all over the floor, like I feel like a lot of these teams, how they play is a 3-point shooter. So if you go cold from 3-point, you're going to lose the game. That's what it felt like last night when the Lakers were playing the Warriors. Like the Warriors were hitting shots, and it's like once you get up 12 and you start hitting shots, pack it in because you could match them and they're still going to be up by 12. Doesn't matter because the 3-point shot is the neutralizer. I guess to just be different, I'll pick the Hawks. It could maybe I think too, Trae's motivated by Luka. I think him and Luka are always joint to the hip. So I think he's so competitive that he's going to want to, Luka had his coming out party last year in the playoffs. I think Trae's going to want to try to match that. But it will be tough with the Knicks defense because, like you say, they have Julius Randle on offense and a couple other guys. But defensively, they're not going to let you just dance on that perimeter and shoot. So I think it's going to go 6 to 7 games, but I'll just pick Atlanta. Plus, too, I'm interested to see how what's the guy? He came from Sacramento. Cannot remember. He's like the shooting guard they got in a trade. Can't remember his name off the back. I think it's Bogdanovich too.
Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
He definitely might be a candidate for a guy that could get buckets too for the Hawks in the backcourt. So interested to see how he plays and all that.
Pat, who do you got?
I got the Knicks in 7, man.
Knicks in 7?
I just like I'll in a game 7 I'll always take the defensive team.
Yeah,
that's how I always like to play because you're tired. Who wants it more? And I'll take the grittier team, and that's the Knicks, man. Tom Thibodeau grinds his players down to the bone, man, and he does it for a reason because of those possible situations. And so I think the Knicks would, even though they're both extremely inexperienced, I'm going with the more experienced team just based on coaching alone.
Yeah, so that's a tough series to pick because I think that's a true pick-em series because the talent is very similar. Very similar. But on the West, man, Denver Nuggets versus the Trailblazers, man. That's a hard game. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a hard series to pick. Because obviously Denver without Jamal Murray, that's going to hurt in the playoffs.
That's what
But the Blazers, I don't love the talent. Like, I think they're slightly more talented than the Nuggets, but the Nuggets are just winning without Jamal Murray. Like he was an issue, man. MPJ has stepped up as the number 2 option. And looking at talent level, like MPJ versus CJ McCollum, and they're in the same tier now. Like MPJ jumped a tier level right now. But I got to go with the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Trailblazers. Wow. I think it's going to go. I think this go 7 games. 7 games. This is going to be one of those grit and grind games, man. They're going to beat each other up. Nikola Jokic is going to be a monster. Like even against Nurkic, man. Like Nurkic, man. Nurkic's a big dude. That's a big dude. And he's finally healthy. He's healthy as for now, but yeah, the Dame Dolla, man, losing the first round against a team without pretty much his primary option. It would have been Jamal Murray. Without that guy, like, you got to win the series. Like, even though you're the lower seed, I think you're more talented than the Denver Nuggets.
You might be more talented, man, but I'll take.
Denver Nuggets.
I'm going Nuggets in 7, man.
Nuggets in 7.
I do think this will go 6 or 7. I'm leaning a little bit more towards going the distance. Look, man, Jokic is so level-headed that I just think nothing phases him. And I've never really seen a player like that. I mean, I get, LeBron, like, yes, he can do it whenever he wants, but he expresses like all this emotion, right? And he gets in your head. You don't know what's going on in Jokic's head, man. It's almost like
clutch,
the Michael
man.
Jordan.
He's clutch, man.
It's
he's
almost
really
like you just don't know what's going through his head. So you're like, well, I can't really mess with this guy, mentally. So he's just going to get his buckets, man. And I think MPJ is going to average 25 in that series, man. I think he's going to average 25.
That's the key.
He's putting up 25 a game. You watch out. He's stepping up because he's going to have a nice little. You want to talk about another guy that needs a coming out party? A lot of people forgot how hyped he was, back when he was at Mizzou.
Yeah.
And even prior in high school. So he's got a little something to prove.
Yeah, light-skinned Kevin Durant, man. There's a reason why he's complex KD, man. Guy's
exactly
real, man.
So he's got a national stage right now, and he is the number 2 option on that team. So I got the Nuggets in 7, man. I got the Nuggets in 7.
Man, Michael Porter, that's a good thought because Michael Porter Jr., man, he has an ability to drop 40. He
could.
Like, easy because his jump shot is so smooth and he just scores so effortlessly. And like, the guy's a 6'10" forward, like a 6'10" swing guy. I'm just like,
yep.
What a shame, Bulls. What a shame.
Yeah, I think MPJ is going to be the difference. My reasoning for why I picked the Trailblazers is because I just believe in Dame and CJ. I just think their dynamic duo of them scoring, like, this is going to be too much. Now, if MPJ comes out in that first game and he's putting up 30 points, then I think it'll go 7. But I think the Trailblazers can get him at 6 because I think Dame is going to refuse, especially how Dame was playing in the. I don't know if you guys remember. You guys definitely remember how he was playing in the bubble last year was crazy. Like, I don't know if that was just because the bubble and it just lifted a lot of people up. But, man, if he comes in playing like how he was in the bubble last year, they might get them boys out of there quicker than that. Because Dame seems like I think Dame also looks at this situation as like, okay, I see a team that I know we kind of on paper have an advantage right now because they don't have Jamal Murray. So I think he's going to try to go for blood. He's so underrated. Like, he's not Steph, but he's right there. He's got the same logo shots. He's creative under the rim. He might not be as flashy with the handle. Yeah, but his long ball 3 is more effortless. Is more effortless than Steph's. He shoots it more like a traditional 3-pointers. His long range balls. He really does. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen with the Trailblazers. I think they're going to be able to get Denver this time. And like I said, that doesn't take anything away from Jokic. He's going to definitely get his buckets, and he's going to get his rebounds, and he's going to be the MVP. So it's taking nothing away from them. I just think the Trailblazers are going to be a matchup that they don't want to see. So
yep.
I don't know, but that's all the play-in talk we have for today. Like I said, this is a great job. Adam Silver is the front-facing man of them, but I don't really know who actually came up with it. But whoever did, kudos to you. Like I say, you might have hit gold this year because you got the Lakers and Golden State. So we're going to see. Like you say, we're saying it's a good job now, but for years to come, we're going to see how this really plays out and the teams that are going to be involved and things of that nature. So as usual, you guys make sure you subscribe to our Instagram page, bullheaded_pod. Got a lot of content, especially with the play-in. I know May's kind of a slow month, but playoffs are picking up. NFL's still a big deal for you guys that are out there looking up. And Zoo, I know you don't like baseball, but there were 2 no-hitters.
2 no-hitters.
There were 2 no-hitters. And I went back and watched it. And I was thinking, this is actually really good content. Now, I couldn't get anything out in terms of like a reel to kind of make it match. So that kind of goes against what I just said. But baseball had 2 no-hitters in the last, 2-3 days?
2-3 days.
So, hey, man, I know you don't want to talk it, but that's pretty impressive. I don't know if you've ever seen a no-hitter live. I have, actually, but it was in college, so it doesn't really count. But, it was pretty good content. Just letting you know that, bro.
Only thing I know about baseball, one new thing I did learn this past week, there's this Japanese guy who's a beast. He's
Shohei
like,
he plays for the
Ohtani.
Angels.
yeah.
Ohtani.
He's like a
Angels.
pitcher and a hitter, some legend. That's all.
Yep.
That's the only thing I know.
Yeah.
And he's a beast, man. Does it
Yeah.
all.
Not knocking home runs and whatnot. So, like I say, I'm gonna start. I think in probably, I want to say maybe July. I'll be doing a little bit more baseball, like just highlights and things of that nature, because there's going to be more. It's kind of a hard month. I know football will be kind of in full swing, but it's still training camp season, so it'd be kind of hard to do all kind of highlights for that. But like I said, make sure you guys follow that Instagram page. Make sure you follow us on Instagram or on Anchor, Spotify, Apple. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple so we can get all the algorithm going our way, so you can get more listens on this YouTube and podcast. And as usual, for me, P. Bush, and Zoo, we're out.